The giant rabbit. The giant rabbit in the province of Cuneo, Italy, around 2005. A group of men created a 200-foot stuffed pink rabbit and left it. It was a live performance art piece. That was, according to the main artist, meant to show the futility of materialism and the purity of embracing nihilism. It cost them maybe $10,000 plus numerous fees for littering, because after the excitement of the public art piece wore off, the group of artists just left the stuffed animal there. After months of exposure to nature, the giant pink rabbit gradually eroded away, leaving nothing but torn grey pink fabric and hay fillings scattered. Eventually, all the trash of the art piece vanished and was assumed either the artist came back and cleaned up after themselves or the rangers begrudgingly cleaned it up. It was maybe a short time after the stuffed animal completely vanished when the reports started coming in. At first, it was an increased number of wild animal attacks. Campers and hikers were complaining that they were coming back to find their campgrounds destroyed, with their food taken and supplies destroyed. At first, it was assumed that it was the works of a bear, an animal that is prone to raid camps whenever it's hungry and can smell food. But the rangers set to search the area didn't find any signs of a bear. Any tracks that were left at the camp didn't resemble any type of prints they were familiar with. In fact, the footprints looked like very large human. So they declared that there wasn't a bear, but the works of probably some homeless people that lived out in the wilderness. It was the closest answer that they could come to. But the reports didn't stop. They increased in severity. Soon, bodies of hikers were being discovered. They looked like they'd been fiercely mauled. Portions of their bodies were missing, making it obvious that something had fed on them. Again, the bite marks on the bodies didn't match any of the animals they were used to, and they were way too large to have been done by a human, so the rangers couldn't claim that it was homeless people eating the people in the wilderness. Search parties were sent out again, and no real traces of wild animal were discovered. Tracking the tracks found at the places where the bodies were discovered eventually led to cliffs or rivers. All they knew is whatever was eating the people was massively huge and was getting around somehow without being noticed. So the bodies continued to stack up until the rangers had no choice but to close the national park to outsiders. For a while that worked. The number of bodies being found partially eaten sharply decreased as there were a lack of people feeding whatever was out there hunting. The emergency was still high, but less people were getting killed. So the rangers had time to breathe and figure out what was going on. They didn't get too far, because a week later, the ranger station was found destroyed. All but one of the rangers were missing. That last ranger was a gibbering wreck and was missing an arm. Hysterical, the ranger explained that the ranger station was by all ridiculous accounts attacked by a giant stuffed rabbit. He said it appeared out of nowhere and was over 100 feet tall easily, and it was fast for a being the size that it was. He continued that one moment him and his co-workers were drinking coffee, and the next the whole building was smashed to rubble. After that, the creature took its time digging through the collapsed station, picking up the screaming, crippled rangers with its fuzzy paws and eating them in a few bites. Some struggled, but bullets didn't work on the creature. They just flew right through it. These were hardened men and women, experienced in dealing with just how tough nature can be, but none of them were ready. The only reason the survivor got away with just a missing arm was because he tossed a flare into the gaping creature's mouth, making it toss him away and retreat with a pained growl. Holding the stump of his arm, he wished he thought of it before it ate its friends in his arm. He swore that the thing retreated in pain, the fuzzy portions of its body having been set on fire. But after that, it ran away, dispersing into nothing as it did so. The report eventually got to the European branch of the agency, and they assigned Senior Agent Turin and her base to the issue, with them being the closest to the base. It took a bit of research, but the answers were eventually revealed. The giant had partially manifested into this realm. Now, when we talk about giants, it's not just one type of creature or beast, but rather a classification of a type of creature or phenomenon. Giants, as known to the agency, are highly dangerous. With every step they take, they reshape the world around them. Every breath they take has the potential to breathe life into the world. It doesn't always have to be human or even an animal, just life. Giants are in existence beyond us, and they need to be taken very seriously whenever they do appear, no matter the shape they take, even if it's a stuffed rabbit over 100 feet tall. It's a blessing that because of the nature of our world, it's very hard for a giant to actually fully manifest into our world. Most of the time, they can push a limb or a mouth into this world and they can't stay long. Sometimes they even move an organ into this world for some reason. Agency researchers figure because they are from a higher dimension than us, and coming here is similar to trying to move your shadow with just your thoughts. But it's hard to quantify the properties of a giant. because again, they don't operate on the rules of our reality. No, they try to impose their rules on us whenever they are manifest. Such an effort reduces the time they can stay manifested, but it can be done. There's only been one case of a giant fully manifesting in our reality, and it almost broke the agency and revealed to the public at large the true nature of our reality. Something that would drive a lot of people to doing stupid, suicidal things in response. And to summon it took a lot of deaths and evil abomination creatures working in the background, and it took just as many deaths to actually kill it. Another thing that isn't too obvious about giants is when they do manifest, they also bring a fuzzy, downgraded version of what they are conceptually into this world. Conceptual existences are one of the strangest things in our reality, because one of the stronger rules in our reality is conceptual existences can't really be killed, just temporarily suppressed. The more complicated the concept, the easier the creature is to kill. It is part of the reason why our agents, researchers, and guardians are primarily named after locations, because using them while not turning our agents into superhuman does give our staff a boost in some matters, making them a little tougher, a little smarter, a little cleverer, and often manifesting a trait that is tied to their conceptual code names. And the more those code names are used, the stronger the concept gets. In the example of the giant that fully manifested, part of the reason that it wasn't impossible to kill was because its concept wasn't fully translatable in our reality. It had conflicts between misery, death, rot, change, chaos. The giant couldn't settle on one concept 100%, and thus rendered itself mortal. Unbelievably strong, but mortal. Part of that must be due to the ritual used to bring it into our reality. As for the giant rabbit eating people in Italy, we can only guess. It's a young giant that's conflicted between the concepts of hunt animal and other concepts that is unknown to us, and it is using the appearance of a stuffed rabbit to temporarily soothe its concepts from conflicting. So, a team will need to go out and destroy that vessel before the young giant can resolve its conceptual conflicts and settle on something that will allow it to either manifest more of its true self into our reality. Having such a thing be allowed to happen will only bring more pain and suffering to everyone.